This week's Torah portion we are with Rabbi Shmuel Taib, Aharei Kedoshim. Rabbi Shmuel Taib from Tunisia, lives in the last century, dies in 1956, buried in Haifa. He wrote a commentary on the Torah, commentary on Pirkei Avot, commentary on the Haggadah of Pesach. He wrote an interesting philosophical work called El Shachar. One of the characteristics of his works, and especially his commentary on the Torah, is the versatility of sources. The philosophers, the Kabbalists, he brings from everything, and the way he ties it all together is this brilliant mind that knows to ask the sensitive and right questions. And we're going to see it in this week's Torah portion. There are a lot of things he has to say about this week's Torah portion. I'm even tempted to bring the secret of incest that he talks about and its relevance to what happens in the upper worlds and to the scepter of God, Shel Vito Shel Melech, but I'm not going to do that because I want something that is more characteristic of Rabbi Shmuel Taib and not a medieval Castilian Kabbalistic commentary. So we're going to look at the first verse, the first two verses. וידבר השם אל משה אחרי מות שני בני אהרון בקרבתם לפני השם וימותו. The first verse says, and God spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's two sons, death for coming close to God, and they died. And then the second verse says, ויאמר השם אל משה דבר אל אהרון אחיך ואל יבוא בכל עת אל הקודש. And God says to Moses, speak to Aaron your brother and tell him not to come near, and so on and so forth. Hence the question. If in the second verse we are told, God speaks to Moses and tells him, tell Aaron that he mustn't come close to, whatever happened to the dialogue in the first verse? The first verse says, and God spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's two boys for wanting to be close to God, and they died. What was said there? What is this silence dialogue? Is it a response to something that Moses or Aaron said? And if it was a response, what is God saying? This commentary is going to be very different to Rashi. Go look at Rashi on the first verse of Aharei Mot. Interesting commentary. Rabbi Shmuel Taib has a fascinating suggestion. He says there was a dialogue, and in fact this first verse is God's response to the cries of Moses and Aaron's hearts. There is a ruckus, there is rage, there is confusion, there is a lot of emotions inside the hearts of Aaron and Moshe, and they are crying out to Hashem, but they are crying out in silence because it is a cry out from their hearts which only God can hear. And what are they saying? What do these cries sound like? They are saying, why did you take Aaron's children? What did they do? They wanted to be close to you. And even if they made a mistake, it was shogeg, it was an accident, it wasn't even on purpose, they just wanted to be next to you. Why did you have to take them? Why did you have to be so difficult, so stringent, why did you have to take them? Right, so these are cries from the hearts of Moshe and Aaron, cries that only God hears, and he is now responding to them. Right, we know they didn't say anything. We know from last week that when Aaron hears that his two boys have died, have been burnt in fire, Vayidom Aaron. Right, he remains silent, as did Moshe. He responds to Aaron, but he doesn't say anything about that. They remain silent. So this is a dialogue in the first verse, according to Rabbi Shmuel Taib. This is God's response to the cries, the outpour from the hearts of Aaron and Moshe. Why did you do this? And the hint to what God responded is, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe achar mot shnei bnei Aaron. Right, God spoke after the death of Aaron's sons. Bekirvatam lifnei Hashem vayamutu. For coming close to God, they died. These are in fact God's response. This is God's response, his words of response to the utterance, to the outcries of Moshe and Aaron's hearts. He says, you're right. That they just wanted to come close to me. That's why I took them. But they did make a mistake. And they are so righteous, more righteous than you. They are so righteous that for the tiniest mistake, even if it's by accident, with the righteous, I measure it as if it was on purpose. And I can't, I have to judge them that way, and so I sternly, and I have to take them. There's another way of looking at it, of course, that he loved them so much, they wanted to be with him so much, that he just took them, he helped them, he came halfway. They came halfway, he came the other halfway, gulped them out of love and took them. But either way, the importance is that Rabbi Shmuel Taib is teaching us here that this enigmatic first verse is in fact God's response to the silent outcries of Moshe and Aaron, and it's a way of Hashem first calming them down, giving them solace, condolences, explaining why he did it, and only then, after making them feel better and giving them understanding, can we move to the second verse, which is more tachlis. It's more, let's get to the bottom of things. Moshe, go tell Aaron he has to do this and this. But he can't go tell Moshe, go tell Aaron to do this and this until I explain why I took them It's out of my love for them. It's because they wanted to come close to me. Thoughts from the brilliant Rabbi Shmuel Taib of Tunisia. Shabbat Shalom and health to all of us.